So later last week, we looked at five players and some honorable mentions that I thought could be targets for the New York Jets at the number 7 overall pick. So I'm going to go down the draft here, and these are five mid-round prospects for the New York Jets that I think they should look to target in the 2025 NFL Draft. Now, the mid-round, I don't know, some people have a different perception of what the mid-round is. Some people say it's 2, 3, and 4. I classify the mid-round as 2 and 3. Really, I kind of base it off of the day. So obviously, day 1 is round 1, day 2 is round 2 and 3, and then day 3 is round 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that video will be coming out later on this week as well. I'm going to waive the mock draft this week. Usually I drop it on Monday or Tuesday, but I'm going to waive it this week. I think we need a little bit of a break from that. I've been releasing one every single week. So next week, look for a new 7-round mock draft for the New York Jets, but I'm going to really focus on players that I think they should be looking at in the mid rounds of the draft for 2025. So let's take a look at the first one here. That's going to be Jalen Royals, wide receiver from Utah State, someone that last year really piqued my interest as a prospect for 2025. He finished with over 1,000 yards last year. He had 15 receiving touchdowns, which was tops in the FBS. This year, he had 55 catches for 834 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. But his season was cut short by a foot injury in October. So you had to believe that he was going to go well over 1,000 yards. Maybe not the same statistical numbers last year in terms of receiving touchdowns or catches, but it definitely looked like, I believe he had 1,060 yards in 2023. It looks like he was definitely going to eclipse that record this year. But he's someone that's super dynamic in the open field. He's a playmaker with the football in his hands. He has great long speed as well. That's something that I think, long speed and short area burst are two things that I don't think necessarily go hand in hand. I feel like a lot of wide receivers either have one or the other. It's either you're kind of slower in your long speed, but you're very twitchy, you're very quick off the line of scrimmage, you have a good release package, or you're the opposite. It's you got long speed and that's really all that you're good for. But Jalen Royals is a unique prospect and he's really good at both. So this is someone that I think if Devontae Adams comes back, if Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams comes back, you have Garrett Wilson, they're going to cut Allen Lazard. I don't know, especially with a new regime, with a new general manager, a new head coach, what are their ties to Malachi Corley? I mean, we saw not last year, but you get what I'm saying, in his last year in college, just how dynamic he was with the football in his hands. But we don't know if he's going to be part of the offense. Maybe this regime wants to bring in a wide receiver 3 or a wide receiver 4 that, they could truly build around. And Jalen Royals is someone that's a little bit different to Malachi Corley, as to where Corley is someone that's like really good in the open field, but kind of like a bowling ball where he could run through tackles. That's not what you're going to get from Jalen Royals, even though he does possess some great size as well, 6 foot, 205 pounds. I saw some reports saying 5'11", 210. So that, a good frame either way. He's not someone that's going to bounce off the tackles. He's going to be someone that either runs past you or jukes around you. So Royals is someone that I think could be that gadgety type of wide receiver 3 that the new regime is looking for in New York. And number 4, I have Sebastian Castro here. And if you guys are fans of the channel, I've spoken quite highly about Sebastian Castro in the past. Had a great 2023 season, a little bit down for the most part in 2024, 57 total tackles, an interception, a couple forced fumbles. I think he only had 1 pass deflection as well. But, when you're talking about an Iowa safety here like Castro, he's a stout run defender. That is what I'm really looking for here in Castro. He's not someone that's going to be your coverage czar. He is your in the box, downhill type of brute force safety. 5'11", 204, has a really nice frame as well. He's got a high motor with tenacity to get to the ball, which is something that, the New York Jets obviously lacked this past year. Was tackling ability, which Sebastian Castro was fantastic. Motor, which I feel like a lot of players on the Jets defense lacked last year. And just overall, especially from the safety position, overall being able to come down and play the run inside the box. And that's something that Sebastian Castro can absolutely do. That's the reason I have him here. I think that there's going to be a complete overhaul of the safety position. I don't even know who they have under contract off the top of my head. I know I did a video on it about a month ago or so, but I know that there's a lot of free agents. Chuck Clark is a free agent. Ashton Davis, Tony Adams is a restricted free agent. So you're looking at really little to no depth, if anyone is even signed onto the roster for 2025. But yeah, starting over, starting fresh, maybe getting a couple of free agents, and then starting young with a draftable safety that can kind of play all over. I mean, like I said, he doesn't have that top end speed, but he's got great footwork in coverage. He's clean with his technique, and a lot of times that makes up for the lack of speed. So you'll see a lot of guys who are very, very clumsy in coverage but have a lot of speed. That really does nothing for me. I'd rather you be clean with your technique, good with your footwork, and maybe lack a little bit of that top end speed. But Sebastian Castro is a fantastic overall player, also someone that did play in the slot a little bit at Iowa as well. So he has that versatility for the secondary, and that's what I'm really looking for the Jets in 2025. At number 3, I have Chase Lundt here, offensive tackle from UConn. Now, Lundt is one of the better, I would say, natural right tackles in the class. I would give the overall best right tackle in the class with the most upside to Cameron Williams, and I was really thinking about putting Cameron Williams in this video, but I opted for someone that's probably going to be, I think Lundt will be more of a late round 3, maybe even a round 4 type of guy. So I am cheating here a little bit in my own video. Someone that might be considered for early day 3, but I think, he, with fantastic measurables, with good athleticism, he could find his way into that late 3rd round consideration. Just the frame and the play style alone reminds me of Bernhard Raimann, if you guys know, tackle for the Indianapolis Colts, who was uber athletic, who had this long, wiry frame that was really, really good in run blocking. And that's what Lundt brings here. I mean, pass blocking leaves a little bit to be desired, to be quite honest with you. But that's something that can be, with good coaching, can be fixed. It could be a technical issue. But honestly, I thought his technique was good. He's a fluid mover. He's got fantastic range. I mean, that's accredited to his long arms and his huge frame. But he moves very well for someone that's 6'8", and run blocking is really what, and the fact that he's a natural right tackle. I believe he had, 4-year starter, I believe he had 47 or 52 starts at right tackle at UConn. That's the experience that I'm looking for, the overall experience in general, just at one position. So he brings that toughness, he brings that athleticism, that just fluidity in his movements, and he's a powerful blocker as well, especially in the run game. He gets out there, he can get to the second level as well. Just a fantastic overall run blocker that I think has a lot of potential as a pass blocker. And if the Jets don't want to address the right tackle position in round 1 or round 2, which I don't think they should, or in free agency, I think that Lundt could be an option here at the back end of day 2 that has immediate starting upside right away. At number 2, I have Darius Alexander. Now, if you guys know Dom C, if you guys are versed in the Twitter community of the New York Jets, you guys know Dom C. You know that he has been probably Darius Alexander's biggest fan since really before the draft cycle even started. 6'4", 320 pounds. And to be honest with you, there isn't a defensive lineman that I have looked at in this class that really can do it all like Darius Alexander. He's fantastic as a run defender. He is stout and powerful and explosive off the ball. He can rush the passer as well quite effectively. He was even asked to drop into coverage as well at Toledo. So very unique prospect. Maybe the one downside to him is in October. I believe it's October. He will be turning 25 years old. So he's a 50-year player, a little bit on the older side. And that's really the only reason why I think he would be in that, early day 3, late day 2 consideration because of his age. But he is overall a fantastic player that, it is super unique and someone that I would love to have on my defensive line. I'd be able to, at 6'4", 320 pounds, you could even play him, on the edge as well. Someone that has great get off, has great speed. He's just so powerful and his hands are so violent. He really is a fantastic overall player. And I think he is one of the biggest sleepers in this entire draft class. He is quite a gem. And I don't have to tell you guys, you're Jets fans here, that the Jets defensive tackle positioning group was probably the worst on the entire roster. They need to build it from the ground up around Quinnen Williams this offseason. And Alexander is someone that I think that a lot of people on draft day might go, who's Darius Alexander? But by the time that his rookie season is over, a lot of people are going to know who he is. Watch out for Darius Alexander, and shout out to Dom C for being on top of it from day 1 with him. He's been singing his praises since day 1. And to no one's surprise here, at number 1, he is in the thumbnail. It's Fanin Jr. This is someone that I think would be probably a second round pick. I mean, look at these numbers. These are some. I know Bowling Green, plays in the MAC. Doesn't play fantastic competition. He was easily their best weapon, but you can't overlook 117 catches for 1,515 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. The guy is unbelievable. And you might look at those numbers and think, oh, Harold Fanin Jr. is just a tight end that could receive. No, he is more than capable of holding his own and then some as a blocker as well. He's just so athletic and someone that even if you do bring in a blocking tight end and you have Harold Fanin Jr. as your, that slot tight end hybrid that we're seeing more and more in the NFL now, really with Brock Bowers being that archetype. Fanin Jr. is someone that is just unbelievable from the athleticism standpoint, catching standpoint, route running. He's just really an awesome receiving target that if you want to play him in line, he can definitely hold his own. I wouldn't have Harold Fanin Jr. start on the line, in an inline position. I feel like that's just a little bit of a waste. I mean, of course, there are going to be some reps where he does, there are going to be some snaps where he does play inline, but playing him in the slot, maybe even playing him out wide in goal-to-goal situations, I think would be a true maximization of his talents. But he is a fantastic player, and I know that if you guys are draft fans or even college football fans, for the most part, you know exactly who Harold Fanin Jr. is. And I think with the state of the tight end room, you want to talk about defensive tackle being the worst positional group. Tight end is probably a very, very close second on the roster. Just a group that is going to be decimated by free agency. Tyler Conklin's a free agent. Kenny Yeboah is a free agent. Jeremy Ruckert is taking up a roster spot that he probably shouldn't. If you want to start fresh, maybe sign someone a free agent, even bring Tyler Conklin back for a year or two, and then draft someone like Harold Fanin Jr. in round 2 if you don't want to go Tyler Warren or even Colston Loveland in round 1. I think it's a very close 2 and 3. I don't think anyone really comes close to Tyler Warren in this draft class. I think he is far and away tight end 1. And then you have a very close battle for tight end 2 between Colston Loveland and Harold Fanin Jr. But he is fantastic. I think he would fit exactly what the Jets are looking for in a new type of tight end. And yeah, he is someone that's been one of my personal favorites throughout the entire draft process. So I'd be super stoked if Harold Fanin Jr. was drafted by the Jets. And that would just give maybe Aaron Rodgers or any other quarterback on the roster just another elite target to go after. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my 5 mid-round prospects that I think the Jets should look to draft in the 2025 NFL Draft. Look out later this week for day 3 players that I think the Jets should look to draft in the 2025 NFL Draft. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.